Kabuki Klash is a 202 meg cart released in 1995 from Hudson Soft. It's actually part of the Far East of Eden series and was the only game in the franchise to ever get released outside of Japan. Well, as far as I know anyways. Like many Neo Geo games, it's a one-on-one fighter. That means it has some incredibly stiff competition. I mean, we're talking about a platform that isn't just home to the King of Fighters, but also Samurai Showdown, The Last Blade, and Garou, Mark of the Wolves. So to differentiate yourself among those quality fighters, you really need to do something different. Thankfully for Hudson, they did just that. Kabuki Klash is best described as a cross between Samurai Showdown and Waku Waku 7. It features the manga art style and incredible animations of Waku Waku 7 with the weapon-based fighting mechanics of the Samurai Showdown series. Interestingly enough, Kabuki Klash actually has the same meg count as Samurai Showdown 2. Hudson is mainly associated with Bomberman, the Adventure Island series, and countless awesome games on the TurboGrafx-16 or PC Engine. Far East of Eden games started on the PC Engine as role-playing games, and seeing the popularity of the Samurai Showdown series on the Neo Geo, Hudson likely figured many of the characters in Far East of Eden were samurai, so they could probably get in on the Samurai Showdown gravy train, and that's most likely why they developed this game for the Neo Geo. Kabuki Klash features 8 playable characters by default, which is a fairly small roster when you consider the King of Fighters 95 was released around the same time and featured 24 playable characters. Much like Waku Waku 7 though, what makes Kabuki Klash so unique is that each of the characters truly feel different than the next. There are no clones or sister characters here. Each will take a long time to master and learn all of their ins and outs. The controls are responsive and feature a lot of dual button presses. For example, A is your weak weapon attack, B medium weapon attack, A and B together is your strong weapon attack. Kick attacks work exactly the same, but they use C, D, and C and D combinations. B and C together is how you perform a super attack or special attack. Much like all fighters, by entering in specific combinations you can perform special attacks. There's a super meter, which is called a magic meter here, that allows you to trigger powerful special moves. You can also perform dashes, rolls, weapon throws, and air blocks. Each character has a finite set of moves, so the move list isn't ridiculous, but because each character feels so dramatically different than the next, it will take time finding those 1 or 2 characters you'll want to main. There is another unique twist to this fighter, and that comes in the form of in-game items. You can find supplies in the stages that will replenish health or magic, but you can also find poison. It adds an extra element to the typical way matches play out, and I really enjoy it. Technically speaking, this is a very impressive game. While the sprites may not be quite as large as some of the other Neo fighting games, they're still very well detailed, animate beautifully, and are bright and colorful. The backgrounds also look great. The soundtrack is rock solid, and so too are the sound effects. Overall, I found this game to be a breath of fresh air and shows a lot of respect for the source material. I will say that one Neo Geo mainstay is featured here, and that is cheap bosses. There are 3 sub-bosses and 1 main boss, and you'll get annoyed very quickly with some of them. The game's also a bit unbalanced when it comes to overall character strength, and that makes certain match mix-ups frustrating, which is a bit unfortunate. It would have been awesome to have had a sequel to this game in around 98 or so, because there was real potential here. It's a very fun fighter, looks and sounds great, but the unbalanced gameplay can put some players off. If you're looking for something different from Hudson Soft, I say give this one a look. It can be had for the MVS for really cheap, and on the AES for hundreds, which is always the case, isn't it? It makes for a fun diversion, and fighting game fans can certainly appreciate what Hudson was trying to accomplish on the Neo Geo. Go check it out.